Assalamu alaikum, namaste, sat sri akal, shalom and good day. You are listening to Awaz Community Radio. And today's guest will be Chief Inspector Umer Khan from Greater Manchester Police. He's here in the studio to talk about the We Stand Together campaign. And I have a volunteer in the studio too who will be co-hosting with me, so stay tuned. So if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can log on to our website. That's www.awazcommunityradio.com. Our email address is awazcommunityradio@gmail.com. You can give us a call the good old-fashioned way. It's 0161 839 9817. And we're really with it. We're on the social media too. Just catch us on Facebook, Awaz Community Radio, or tweet us at Awaz Radio 122. Welcome again to Awaz Community Radio, and your host for today is Saira, and we have a volunteer here called Harry. Hi Harry.
Saira, pleasure to be back again.
Thank you very much for coming back again. That's true, you have been here before.
I have, yes. Last time I was talking science and technology and all things fantastical, but yes, here today to co-host with you. So.
Thank you very much for giving us the time to do that, and it's something very different today, Harry. We've got Chief Inspector Umer Khan in the studio. Hi, how are you?
Hi guys, good morning, and lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for agreeing to come in. Harry and I would love to hear all about this new campaign called We Stand Together.
Yes, sure. We Stand Together is a initiative which is a community-led initiative, and it's there to celebrate our difference that exists within all communities. It's also there to make a stance against hate and hatred, and overall is intended to build safer, stronger communities. The backdrop is that over the last few years we have seen a lot of international events, stuff that's happening in the Middle East, stuff that's happening in Europe, in Paris, in Copenhagen, and these type of events, because we live in a globalized community, creates a sense of fear amongst our communities within Greater Manchester and even nationally, and often you get communities feeling vulnerable, and we've seen an slight increase in hate crime in such as anti-Semitism, such as Islamophobia and other hate crimes as well, because of what happens is that these type of events cause divisions in communities, and then does lead to a them and us type scenarios, really, which is very unhealthy both for communities and also for agencies like the police, really, because it makes it very difficult to maintain law and order within communities. And this is why the We Stand Together initiative has been in a way born out of this desire that how can we get our communities to participate in addressing some of the issues and concerns are out there, because clearly the police and other agencies don't have all the answers, all the solutions, and we need the people, the grassroots organisations to become involved and think of the ideas and solutions, really. And this is what in essence that We Stand Together initiative is all about.
So with regards to this particular campaign, it sounds very much to me like this has been born out of this, I suppose, this need to have, you know, many different people, and living in North Manchester, it is a very diverse area, lots of different people from different backgrounds, and I think, as you said before, sometimes there's a fear that comes with perhaps some things that are different to what we're used to, and I suppose it sounds very much like this campaign is to assure the people that there's, I guess, nothing to be afraid of in terms of, you know, these differences and different people, different thoughts, different beliefs. I mean, how has the campaign been going so far from your perspective?
Okay, so there's a couple of points there. One is about the differences, really. You touched on this sense of fear that we have of the unknown, really. There is this expression that says that we hate some people because we don't know them, and because we don't know them, we hate them. So it's kind of like a catch-all phrase, really. Often we're afraid of the unknown simply because we've not made the effort to get to know somebody different to us, really. And I agree, like North Manchester is one of the most diverse communities. There are over 100 languages spoken locally in our communities in just a small area. So, but often we just like to stick to our own because, as the expression goes, the birds of feather flock together. So you find that the Muslim community is sticking together, the Jewish community is there sticking together, not in all, but in predominantly, and you find, you know, the Eastern European communities coming in, they want to make their own little community. So the intention is that how do we get people to converse with each other, get rid of these boundaries that have been created, and get to understand one another. So that's the intention. So when we had the launch of the We Stand Together at Manchester Town Hall, and we had our Chief Constable, the Chief Executive from the City Council, and other leaders like the Police Community, Police Crime Commissioner Tony Lloyd, supported by community leaders, they all came together and signed a pledge to say that all of us within Greater Manchester, we commit ourselves to working together, celebrating our difference. We're going to make a stance against hate and hatred of all forms, so that we can have safer, stronger communities, because that's all we want. As individuals, we want security for ourselves, our families, and our long-term future. We don't want to be living in fear, and that goes for vast majority of people, really. So since the launch, we've had a community steering group, and we've been looking at events that we can bring people together. We're looking at ways that we can get communities to support one another during the times of crisis.
Can I ask at this point about the Cheetham Cultural Festival that happens every year in September, which is, for those listeners who don't know about it, it's a 4 to 5 day festival which has been, I think, running for almost a decade or something like that. And we were involved with them last year as well, where you have sort of open days spread out, where you have a synagogue opens its doors, and a temple opens its doors, and a church and a mosque. And I'm aware that the committee work really hard, and I know that the theme that this year is We Stand Together. So are they linking in directly with you this year?
Yes. What we're doing is that we are surveying across Greater Manchester existing opportunities, events that are taking place, some that we're aware of, others we may not be, and in which case, if any of the listeners have got any exciting events coming up, you know, where there's a sense of communityship, people coming together, I would, for one, be really keen to hear about it, so that we can say how do we add on the support of the We Stand Together campaign to those events. So for example, the event that you mentioned in September, that'd be certainly definitely something we'll be looking to get involved in. It's not a police-led initiative, and I want to add this. This is a community-driven initiative, really supported by the police and the other agencies, and this is the difference, really. That what we found that in the past, people have been really enthusiastic and they have done initiatives, but the difference has been that in the past, perhaps the agencies like the police, like the council, have not supported it. So this is the one where it will be supported. So the event in September, definitely we're going to get involved. This Sunday is the Manchester Day, and we're going to be involved in that. And I've got an event organised in addition to all the other events at Salford University, and we're doing a multi-faith leaders and activists event. So we're bringing people together who are faith leaders and activists, and saying to them, what do you see are the issues of Greater Manchester, and more importantly, what you guys are going to do about it, not other people. So that's the sort of thing. So yeah, great.
is a lot, isn't there? To divide us, I guess. You know, I mean, when you read stuff of what's going on in the world and the media and sort of on the street, there's a lot that divides us. But I like the fact that this campaign, don't you think, Harry? This campaign's asking us to remember that we are on the same side.
Yeah, and also I suppose it's quite important to point out that, you know, indeed there are a lot of things going on in the world, but the way I look at it when I'm walking down the street, I think it's nothing to do with me. I personally wouldn't think, act, do like that, and I think that's an important thing to remind the community, is that okay, there are, you know, there are clashes going on in different parts of the world, but us here in our community, it's not really anything to do with us, you know, so it shouldn't really affect us and how we treat each other as our community. If anything, we should all, you know, get together in the sense that that kind of behaviour is, you know, is not how you treat each other, so we shouldn't be letting it affect us and affecting how we therefore treat one another, I suppose, if that makes sense.
No, it does, and I think the majority of people are regular people, you know, every faith, you know, majority are law-abiding, peace-loving people, and I guess it's the onus is now on the majority to really stand up and show, you know, that we're not going to put up with this any longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think if we really look into it deeply, there is a faith issue, and the faith issue is born out of the events that have happened internationally. There seems to be an east-west divide issue, or there is a sense of Islam is under attack, and so young people who are living in communities often get to hear narratives which does impact on them and influence them really in a way that often makes them very angry, and that anger then manifests itself in different ways. So I mean, I for one recognise that, and I appreciate that there's a lot of anger that young people can feel sometimes is about different issues, but the thing for me is that how do we get our young people, or anybody who feels that sense of anger and aggrievement, to channel that in a correct way, so that what they're doing is they're looking to make a difference in a positive way rather than in a negative way. And some of the stuff that we've seen in in Paris, in Copenhagen, is not inconsistent with the beliefs of mainstream religions, whichever religion that may be really, because life is such a valued entity that God has given to us all, and in the Quran, in the Bible, in the Torah, all these main books, life, God talks about life in it as a premium entity. No one's got the right to take another person's life without law really. So I mean, without wishing to go into there really, but what I'm saying is that there needs to be a recognition that there is anger amongst young people because of what they see on the TVs and what they see happening internationally. But the question now is that how do we get that engagement with our leaders, with our civic society, with our civic leaders and the political leaders, to make sure that those voices are heard and that they're not being gone to waste, so to speak.
And that, I think, is the challenge, isn't it, of getting the people up top to engage and take an interest in us down here, so to speak, and I think. But it's a tough one, particularly with young people. I mean, that's why they say angry young men. People when they're young, they do go through periods of being angry about something, and if there's nothing to be angry about, they may try and find something to latch onto to ventilate that feeling that they get. I suppose if I were to sort of chuck my hat into the ring. There needs to be, as you say, something for them to channel that, and I've found in the past that taking part in things that are creative, recreational, just something where rather than going out and destroying, you create something instead, you make things. And I think that there needs to be a more kind of visible, engaging voice for young people to say, hey, come and do this, come and put your time and effort and energy into this. Even things as simple as exercising. It sounds silly, but to to go and exercise, to channel it into that. You can make something useful of it rather than, as you say, sitting there festering and getting angry. And being angry and being hateful, it takes up a lot of energy and a lot of time.
It does, and
at the end, what have you got from it?
It really is a waste of energy, and I like the way that the campaign is utilising social media, and you've got the hashtag trending, hashtag We Stand Together, and I think that's a really clever way to reach out to people. Like you said, Harry, there are people who are disillusioned, there are people who are angry or looking for something to be angry about. Let's try and focus on something positive, and bless Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the campaign after the launch has got a number of ideals and objectives that we want to promote within communities. One of them is obviously bringing communities together really, and we talked about events that are taking place this weekend through the month of Ramadan. We got events where we're encouraging mosques to do iftar events. We're inviting non-Muslim community members to come in and observe the month of fasting, and but similarly we're encouraging other faith groups to open their doors. And you mentioned in September similar activity taking place. Also, we've got activities that we're trying to promote in schools. We're trying to work with setting up a foundation nationally to see how we can take the We Stand Together forward, so the community has the ownership of it, so it's not seen as a police-driven initiative. We don't want it to be a police-driven. We want the community to take ownership of it, come out with the ideas, come up with the initiatives, and do something positive with it. But at the same time, we're adding our weight to it so that we can get buy-in from other organisations within society. Everybody has a responsibility, so we're going to places like the Premier League and the football clubs and the cricket clubs, all these places who have got some form of power and influence to support the initiative by promoting it. And social media is a very new way of getting the messages out there. So we have got a Twitter page, We Stand Together, and hashtag. Anybody wants to do any messages of their own, this is what we encourage, to use the hashtag We Stand Together, and it gets picked up by the national Twitter page for the We Stand Together campaign, and it will get retweeted. And we've just done a tweet for the Awaz Radio, community radio. You guys are looking really good. I like the red t-shirt.
Yes, so, it seems to be a popular talking point, isn't it?
It is, because sometimes our audiences, I guess, are not privileged to see the fashion and the sense of dress sense that goes on in radio stations. So the tweet that we sent out on the Avaz Radio, hashtag We Stand Together, really shows the colourful Harry in his full glory, really.
If anything, it should catch their eye as they're going down the feed.
I think we in accordance with the We Stand Together ideals, we need to celebrate our difference, and your desire to wear red t-shirts should be celebrated.
Yeah.
I'm quite disappointed my volunteer's better dressed than me today. We're standing together, but we're very different.
and we're going to respect that difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're respecting the difference, definitely.
So if Harry, you want to wear a red t-shirt on a Thursday morning, you do so, mate.
Absolutely, and I feel proud of that.
Anything to get someone's attention, though, isn't it? Yeah. You're scrolling down, you're going to see that red t-shirt and go, oh, what's that?
Mm-hmm.
So, Umer, would you like to tell our listeners, if there are people who want to get involved with this, how can they get involved? How can they get in touch with the campaign?
Okay, brilliant. This campaign is all about the community and people within our communities. Ideally, what we would like is people to come forward, express an interest to get involved. We have a steering group made up of volunteers and community members who meet every 6 to 8 weeks, and they think about ideas and ways of coming together for communities. Other ways is that if people have got events of their own which are coming up and they need some support with it, they can contact the We Stand Together campaign, and we can look to see how we can support it through either local offices coming around or other ways that we can get some volunteers to them. And thirdly is the social media campaign, which everybody can get involved in, we've got the hashtag We Stand Together. So whenever people are doing something and they're with friends or colleagues and they're doing something which brings people together, they can use the hashtag We Stand Together with their own positive message or a selfie or whatever it may be. It will get picked up by the national campaign. So selfies, Twitter, tweets, using the hashtag We Stand Together, really great way of getting this message out there in the communities. So thank you.
You see, especially with Twitter, the way Harry and I were dressed, which was no planning whatsoever. You had myself in black, it just happened to be, and you had Harry in a really brightly coloured t-shirt.
Yeah.
So perhaps if listeners could, if it's 2 or 3 of you all dressed really differently,
Yeah.
and I think it just sends out a stronger message that we're all different, but we're standing together.
Definitely. I mean, we had that little placard, the hashtag We Stand Together. People can have a A4 piece of paper with a little selfie, or We Stand Together, do speech bubbles. And some people that are just doing their feet, standing together, because some people don't want to have their photographs taken. That's fine. You can have your friends standing together, just show your feet, your shoe size, like.
If you've recently had a pedicure you're proud of.
I was going to say, I can't think of particularly any ladies that I know would want to have their pictures of their feet taken.
Maybe if they were in shoes.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
With shoes on, of course. Yeah, something like so.
Yes,
so
please don't put ugly feet on Twitter.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Anything at all, just be creative, anything different. And then, so we look forward to the hashtag We Stand Together tweets from the people out there. Let's see how many come out as a result of this radio show. It'll be like thousands and thousands, I guess.
Fantastic. Well, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Chief Inspector Umer Khan from Greater Manchester Police for coming in to promote the hashtag We Stand Together campaign.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And all the best with the campaign.
Thank you.
And thank you, Harry, for co-hosting with me today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure to be here. Thanks
How have
a
you
lot.
found it? Have you found it very educational today?
I have, yes. It's certainly got me thinking, and I will certainly be doing a bit of hashtagging myself and spreading it around to a few of my friends. So, yeah.
And don't forget the bit about please no ugly feet on Twitter.
Yes, no talons, please.
No talons. Only if you've had a pedicure. Well, thanks again, Harry, and look forward to co-hosting again with you soon.
Absolutely.
You've been listening to Awaz Community Radio with your host Saira, and if you'd like to log on to our website and give us some comments on today, it's www.awazcommunityradio.com. You can leave a message for us on our contact number, it's 0161 839 9817. We're on Facebook, that's Awaz Community Radio. So when you're hashtagging the We Stand Together campaign, don't forget to hashtag us as well, or even just kind of add us on. We're at Awaz Radio 122, and you can email us, awazcommunityradio@gmail.com. Thank you for listening and have a great day.